When you start programming, data usually lives in a straight line. You put items into arrays or linked lists, and to find something, you walk down that line, one by one. But as data grows complex and relationships multiply, a single flat dimension becomes a severe bottleneck. To solve real-world problems, we have to push our data into the second dimension. Look at this diagram. We establish a hierarchy by creating a tree. It starts with a single origin point called the root. This root acts as a parent, branching out via edges to connect to child nodes. When a node has no children of its own, the branching stops. We call those endpoints leaves. We measure the scale of this structure mathematically in two ways. Depth counts the steps downward from the root to any specific node. Height does the reverse, counting the longest path upward from a leaf to a parent. By branching data outward instead of stacking it end to end, we transform a flat sequential list into an optimized mapped hierarchy. This animation shows the strict rule that makes a binary search tree so fast. Every time a new value drops in, the computer asks one question: is it smaller or larger than the current node? Smaller values strictly route to the left, larger values route to the right. Every single step downward cuts the remaining search space entirely in half. To read this data back out, the computer navigates the branches using specific traversal patterns. An Inorder Traversal reads the left child, the parent, and then the right child, which extract the data in perfect numerical order. Preorder and postorder sequences are used to copy or delete the entire structure, while level order scans across the tree horizontally, layer by layer. Regardless of the programming language, these abstract branches are built using memory pointers. A tree node is a block in physical memory holding a value and two literal addresses pointing to the exact locations of its children. But the standard binary search tree has a weakness. If you insert data that is already sorted, like feeding it the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in order, it only branches to the right. The tree collapses into a heavily skewed right-leaning chain. Your exponential search speed degrades back to a slow, linear crawl. To prevent this, we use self-balancing models like AVL or red-black trees. As you can see here, when a branch gets too long, the structure mechanically rotates itself, pulling the middle node up and pushing the old root down to restore symmetry. By strictly enforcing this balance after every single insertion, the tree depth remains as shallow as mathematically possible. The structural discipline is what guarantees logarithmic time complexity for every search. Search trees are excellent general-purpose tools, but specific computational tasks often require architectures designed to bypass highly specific bottlenecks. A max heap abandons left-right sorting, prioritizing the largest value at the root. When extracted, it reheaps, pushing the next largest up. Alternatively, a trie stores text, mapping characters along branches. Words like cat and car share a CA trunk, making autocomplete instantaneous. For massive datasets requiring rapid mathematical range queries, developers use segment and Fenwick trees. Instead of storing single items, these trees store pre-calculated sums or minimums for specific chunks of an array, allowing you to query massive ranges of data in fractions of a second. By mutating the strict rules of a standard tree, you can sculpt custom data shapes that solve specific computational limits with precision. Yet all trees share one rigid limitation. They enforce a strict top-down hierarchy. A child node can only ever have one parent. This fails immediately if you try to model a highway system, a social network, or data where relationships loop back on themselves. To model reality, we break the hierarchy. When nodes connect in any direction and form closed cycles, the rigid tree dissolves into a graph. In this multidimensional space, nodes are called vertices, and their connections are edges. These edges can flow in one specific direction or go both ways. We can even assign them weights to represent real-world costs like distance, time, or network latency. Computers store graphs using an adjacency matrix for fast checks or a space-saving adjacency list. To explore them, breadth-first search uses a queue to radiate outward layer by layer. Conversely, depth-first search uses a stack to plunge down a single path, backtracking at dead ends. Graphs trade hierarchical structure for connectivity. They provide the mathematical framework required to map multidirectional relationships and cycles in a physical network. Once data is mapped in a graph, traversal becomes the foundation for optimization algorithms. These are the specific logical engines that drive logistics, GPS navigation, and internet routing. This animated map illustrates Dijkstra's algorithm. By calculating edge weights, it finds the shortest path, ignoring inefficient routes. To connect every point using minimal material, Prim's or Kruskal's algorithm creates a minimum spanning tree, securing connectivity with zero wasteful cycles. For systems driven by prerequisites, like compiling software or managing a construction schedule, a topological sort forces dependent sequential tasks into a workable linear order, ensuring no circular dependencies crash the system. These algorithms translate raw graph data into functional infrastructure. They dictate how software handles traffic, power grids, and complex scheduling. This chart shows how an expert evaluates these structures. Everything boils down to big O notation, the absolute time and space cost a structure requires as data scales toward infinity. You select the precise tool that neutralizes your specific mathematical bottleneck. Trees enforce hierarchies to guarantee search speed, while graphs map complex interconnected relationships. You deploy DFS to find depth, BFS to analyze even layers, Dijkstra to minimize travel costs, and Kruskal to optimize connectivity. Mastering nonlinear data structures provides direct control over computational time and memory. Understanding these trade-offs allows you to select the precise architecture for high-dimensional problems. Keep learning, keep visualizing, and as always, thank you for watching.